So the other day I taught a class and showed my ladies what I have heard being called the tower card, and I actually called it the quad faced because it will have, when it's upright, ka-ching, it has 4 faces. So I called it the quad faced / tower, but this one had an extra wow to it. So let me just show you. It's this is a standard C6 envelope, so this is what you get from Stampin' Up. This card, obviously a lot bigger than that. It fits in a C5 envelope. So an A5 piece of cardstock would fit in a C5 envelope. The way I always remember it is A is for the actual size. So when you cut in your A4, it's actual. So A4, A5, A6, obviously the higher the number, the smaller the piece of card. And I remember the envelopes as the C for the cover. So it's a cover for an A5. So this is, it's not a Stampin' Up envelope, it's just one that I bought from when I had my craft shop a long time ago. So it's a C5 envelope. That's what you need to look for if you're going to make this card, C5. Okay, so here it is, and it is featuring a retired set of papers. They're called Brightly Gleaming. We did a lot of projects with them back in the day when they were there, but I had a lot left over, so I thought I'm going to divvy this up, my pack, and show my ladies how they can make a card that actually features all 12 patterns of your DSP. So on each face you've got 3 patterns. So when it's stood, you've got these 3 patterns, and then you turn it around for these 3 patterns, and then you turn it around for these 3 patterns, and then finally these 3 patterns. Now when I made it with my ladies, I purposely gave them the measurements for blank panels, and it was their choice and their choice of sentiment that they wanted to put on. I just demonstrated using one there. So should we get started, and I'll show you how to make it. So my ladies each received a kit, but I'll talk you through what's in the kit, and therefore you're going to know what you need. So as I say, it features all 12 patterns of a pack of DSP, which is lovely because you can actually use it as a showcase card for a pack of DSP. So what we needed were, I divvied everything up in by cutting the 12-inch sheet into 6 inches, so 6 inches by 1 inch, and they needed 4 strips like so. Oh, sorry, I've got an off camera. So 4 1-inch strips. And then remember, you're using every pattern. And then they had, let me get this right, 4 pieces that were 3 inches by 6 inches. So when I was cutting, just to give you a tip here, if you cut your DSP in half at 6 inches and then into thirds at 4 inches, you will find, for example, that would have been the 4-inch. So you've got a 4-inch by 6-inch piece, and then you cut that down to give you your extra inch strip, okay, of one of them. So you've got total of 4 3-inch pieces, and what I did is I picked my favourite that were more, I want to say blank, but they're not blank at all. I picked my favourite, and I picked them all because they had foiling. So these are all 4-inch by 6-inch. So basically, you need 8 pieces of 4 by 6 DSP. And by trimming this one, that's where you get your 12 patterns from. Okay, so that's what we needed as far as designer series paper. So I'm going to pop all those over here a second. As far as cardstock, now I gave my ladies, let's have a look, I think I gave them a bit extra actually, just in case of stamping faux pas. So we had 3 pieces of A5, so half an A4 of very vanilla. And we had 4 pieces of A6, so this is quarter of your A4. So for measurement wise, an A6 piece is 10.5 centimeters across and 14 point, I always cut it at 14.8 and a smidge, because 29.7 is actually 14.85. So it's not 14.9, because then you'll not get 2 of them. It's 14.8, you're cutting off the weeniest slither, which sometimes can cause a problem. So 14.8 and a smidge would give you your measurement this way. So 4 pieces of that. Then they had another 4 pieces of very vanilla. These ones I had already run through the Parisian Flourish embossing folder, and I did do them in the set, well, that one's not quite central, sort of in the same position, so they were all the same. Doesn't really matter because there's one on each face of the card and you can never sort of study the same one at the same time. So they were 4.7 by 7.2, those pieces. So you need 4 pieces, 4.7 by 7.2 centimeters, and embossed. And then these mat onto these sort of coppery brassy coloured sheets. They're in the metallic cardstock pack, the multi-pack, and these were or are 5 centimeters by 7.6. So you'll see momentarily I'm going to glue those onto there, and then from the excess pieces of DSP, I went ahead with my punch and I punched a selection. So we needed 4 large baubles. So this was the Brightly Gleaming Duo punch pack that we had. So I did 4 large baubles and 4 small baubles, and again mixed up all my patterns. I'll show you how I did that later on. And then from the metallic, I just went in and punched the top of the baubles. So we've got large tops for large baubles, and somewhere in here we've got small tops for small baubles. Okay, so you need 4 large, 4 small, 4 large tops and 4 small tops. And then I included this old olive linen thread. You could use baker's twine, you could use the regular linen thread that we have, but you need a length of that. Let me have a look how much I gave. 40, 80, 1.20 centimeters was sufficient. And then I wasn't sure if my ladies had glue dots, so I did include a little package of glue dots. I know they all have wet glue and dimensionals, but I wasn't sure if they had those. So that's what I provided. Okay, so what I will do is get cracking. So the first thing I'm going to do, purely so I don't lose them, I am going to glue with normal wet glue all the little tops onto my baubles, and I'm going to glue these panels onto the metallic card. So just in preparation, I'm going to do that first. So while I do that, you will see it fast forwarded. So there I have my little stack of embossed panels and baubles. They're all ready for later, so I'm just going to pop those out the way, and we're going to crack on now with the actual mechanism, scoring, cutting and everything for the actual card. So as I say, you need 4 pieces of A6, so quarter size of A4, so keep those to one side. And then from one piece of the A5, so this measures 21 centimeters across and 14.8 and a smidge down so far. Now what I'm going to do is grab my trimmer, and I will just open out the arm, make sure it's in view for you. There you go. And we are going to start scoring. So the first thing we're going to do is get that cutting blade tucked up there out the way, and we're going to use this pale one for scoring. So the first score line needs to be at 2.5 centimeters. Okay, so 2.5 centimeters, and then we are going to come along to 5 centimeters, and we are going to come along to 7.5 centimeters scoring, and we're going to come along to 10 centimeters. There we go. And finally we're going to move to 10.5, and we're going to cut. Okay, so this piece is extra. With the remnant, I'm going to swivel it round to landscape and cut it at 13.5 centimeters, and then I'm going to cut 3 centimeter wide strips. So there's 1, there's 2, and this is the 3rd. So that's just using the remnant of that A5. That piece I'll put to one side. So I need 1 more of these. So I'm going to get another piece that's landscape, and I'm going to cut it to 3 centimeters first. So I'm not taking the 13.5. I'm just doing from a landscape piece of very vanilla in A5. I'm cutting 3 centimeters, and then I'm changing it to landscape to cut the length at 13.5. Okay, so those are those 4 strips, and we've got this piece, and I think at this stage we're ready to start assembling. No, we're not. I'm fibbing to you again. Right, let's get these strips trimmed. So we've just made mats, whoopsie daisy, at 13.5. So what I need to do, and I will just start with this pattern, and I'm just going to double check what I wanted that to be, because my memory is shocking. 13. So you have it 1 inch wide, but you need it 13 centimeters in length. So landscape your inch strip, and I'm just going to trim off. It almost looks like a square. It's not quite a square, but 13 centimeters. So let me whiz through, and I'm just going to check my patterns. So while we've got the trimmer here, these are the actual panels, these 4 pieces that the 4-inch pieces of DSP are going to come and live on. So with me cutting them 4 inches wide, let me show you. That's equivalent, I believe, of, is it 10.2? 10.1 and a smidge in the centimetre land. So again, I'm going to pop these on. I'm going to keep them. There's no point in me trying to trim off tiny slithers, so I'm going to keep them at the 4-inch width. They fit quite nicely on the 10.5 centimetre width of this. We do just need to trim them, and I believe because that border there is quite skinny, to replicate that at the bottom, we're going to trim them at 14.5. So that's all 4 of those done, and we can stick them on there. So 1 second. I'm just going to lose my jumper because I am getting warm, and then I'm going to glue these panels. So again, I'll speed through that. Okay, so I'm back. So here you can see I've glued all the DSP and the inch panels with their mats onto each of the A6 pieces of Very Vanilla. So I've got all those 4 ready to go. So now I want the inner tube, as it's the actual mechanism here for which to stick all these panels to. So we're going to come back to this piece that we did, that we scored every 2.5 centimeters, and I'm just going to fold and burnish on each of those lines. Okay, like that. Now the skinny line, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to burnish that one just yet, so what I tend to do is leave it unfolded and I actually glue it first. So again, I'm taking a small amount of glue all the way down that line. I've got a bit much up here, so I'm just going to try and spread it out. You only need a little amount, okay? And then I'm folding this onto it, and that makes it completely square and straight. It doesn't matter if you glue splurges out at this point or this gets dirty, you're not going to actually see it. My bone folder, I think, is a little bit dirty. So once I've done it that way, now if I pop it this way, at this point I can burnish, okay, and it makes it nice and square. So this is your mechanism that's going to go down the center of all those 4 panels. I've just noticed, I'm really sorry, I've tried a different lighting method and I've just noticed that you're getting awful shadows. I hope that's a bit better, sorry. Right then, so we've got this tube. So what we're going to do now is keep the tube flat, and we're going to glue each of our 4 panels onto it. So I'm going to start with this, it's like a tealy colour, I think, was it something peacock? I'm really sorry, I can't remember the name, but it's got the copper scroll on there. Okay, so where I'm going to do, what I'm going to do with this is we're always gluing the back that is the opposite side to where we put that inch strip, okay? So what I tend to do actually is not glue the back of that, I'm really sorry, I glue the tube, okay? So what I'm doing is I've got the tube flat and I'm gluing just on the left side, okay? So just on the left side, the half of it. And then I am placing my first panel, and this one's quite easy because I'm butting it up to the join, okay? So I've got that nice and flush and square. So that's the first one. The second one, I'm going to put this one that is the Night of Navy with the copper stars. So again, I'm going to glue just on this bit, but you're still sticking the opposite side to the inch. Don't turn it around at this point, okay? All the pieces need to go the same way. So I'm just, again, I'm gluing down the tube. Just spread that out a little bit more near the edge. There we go. Okay, and so you're overlapping this piece, but it does give you the benefit of having a straight edge at the bottom to line up to. So you're marrying this panel up to the first one that you've laid down, and then it's right up to the edge at this side, and give it a really good press down. Okay, so that's your first 2 pieces attached. If I open it up now, you can see how it's going to come together. So what I'm going to do now is keep it flat, turn the whole thing over. Okay, and I'm going to start with the left, and this time I'm using the green panel, okay, and again I'm gluing the tube Okay, give it plenty of glue, but not too close to the edge. You don't want it splurging. And again, the inch panel is all the way over on the left, and I'm adhering. So what I'm doing this time is I'm lining it up with the score line. Okay, so the score line, and I'm making sure it's top and bottom with the tube, and it is. That's lovely. And then the final piece, as before, is going to overlap this and just stick to here. So wiggle that down. Okay, and we're just gluing that right hand, the rear of the right. So your inch decorative panels are always over here on the left. Okay, so that is that. Now if I stand this up and turn it, give it a squeeze, you can see it's got the mechanism. It looks a bit like a windmill. Okay, so we'll go back now. It doesn't matter which way you start, which way even you flatten it. What we're going to do now is adhere the 3-inch panels to this side. But what I haven't done, because I forgot, is I haven't trimmed them. So these also need to be trimmed to 14.5 centimetres. So okay, I'm back. So I've cut them all down to 14.5 centimetres. So now we're going to match up and showcase the last of the 4 patterns. So opposite the tealy colour with the scroll, I'm going to place this piece that's got the stars. So again, I'm just gluing the rear of the DSP like so, and they go on here beautifully. So that's that one. Then you can turn each page almost over. So the next one is my Night of Navy, my stars, and this one I'm going to put the green against it. If you're not bothered about showcasing all your patterns, then obviously just choose the patterns that you like. You could do each section exactly the same if you wanted to. I just love the idea of showing all the patterns in the paper pack. I think it's a great way of doing that. So this is the stripe. So this is against the green with the foliage foiling. And this is the stripe. I can't wait actually to do this with other DSPs. The pansy one in particular, I think would look fab. And then the last one, just double check, is the Night of Navy. Okay. So we have the base of our card, all DSP'd up. There we go. And now all that's left to do is add these lovely panels with the baubles. So again, I'll just pop the card to one side a second and show you exactly how I did this. So with the twine over here, okay, what I did is I'm making little bows. So the easiest way I find to do this, and I'm hoping you can see, really not keen on this light situation, is I wrap the twine around my index finger and then I pinch it together on my middle finger and then release it. I then wrap the twine over the loop, but then I'm pushing with my index finger of my right hand through the loop, the piece of twine at the bottom of the loop, and then I can give it a tug. And then if I hold the knot, I can then tweak that until I'm happy. And we only need smallish bows, they don't need to be massive. There we go. So that's the kind of bow size you're after. I'm going to grab my ribbon snips. And I'm just going to trim that. So we need 4 of those. And then you also need, and I think I worked out the nice length is about Was it about 8 centimetres or was it 10? Let's try 10. So I'm going to go with 10 centimetres, and I'm just going to cut 4 of these, and these are to attach to the back of the baubles. So 10, 10, 10. I'll get the 4th one. There we go. So that's 10. Excuse me 1 second, that's my daughter ringing. Hi, right. Sorry about that. That was my daughter asking if I fed the dogs. No, I haven't. So I've got baubles. Now you can see which patterns I've used together. So what I'm going to do on the back of these, I'm going to use the glue dots. Here's the little package of glue dots that I gave them. So I'm just going to pop my bauble so that the glue dot is on the back of the paper. So it's got the metallic cap, but the glue dot's on the paper. And I'm going to do that for both baubles. So I've got a big one and a little one on each panel. So I've grabbed that, there we go. And then I'm going to stick one end of the 10 centimetre twine into one glue dot and the other end of the twine into the other glue dot. Just like that. Okay, so I've got them attached. They're dangling prettily. And then what we did, so over here, I actually used the way I positioned, and it was purely for ease of teaching so that they positioned them all in the same way. So I got this scroll, and in the centre of the scroll, it actually looks like bum cheeks, I have to say. In the centre of the scroll, where it goes up, is where I put another glue dot. So I anchored that glue dot when it stays. Please stay, please behave. It won't, there we go. And then I got my baubles and I held them together so that the smaller bauble is overlapping the large bauble, but it's lower down. And then I grabbed the center point of the twine and I dug that into that glue dot. So at the minute my baubles are loose and dangly, and the twine is anchored in this glue dot up here. And then while I've still got a little bit of glue dot left, that is where I'm sticking my bow. Okay, now if it's still, I'm just going to trim those tails a little bit. If you still feel it's still too sticky, you can dab it with your embossing buddy like that and give it a quick, there we go, blow that away, and that just takes the stickiness off that the excess of the glue dot. Now when I'm at this point, I'm going to get some dimensionals. Oh, tell you what I didn't do, and I'll grab a bone folder and do this. I'm just going to curve my baubles, so I'm just going to come either side and curve them. That's that one, and do the same with the large one. It's actually easier to do that before you glue them all together. But then again, flip them over so that you've got the back. And I'm going to put a dimensional in the middle of each of the backs. And that's all I'm doing for now. I'm not taking the backs off. So these two baubles, let me look at the patterns, belong on this section. Okay, so what I've got now is you can either glue this flat, or you can raise this up on dimensionals as well, but I actually liked it flat. Or you can do some flat and some on dimensionals, it's entirely up to you. So I'm just gluing, and where I'm going to position this now is looking at the space from the bottom of the large bauble to there needs to equal the space between the top of the panel and the top of the card. Then eyeball your side margins, okay? So I always use my fingers. Yeah, it's about 2 fingers or 1 3/4 fingers, and that's the same that way, and that's fine. So stick that down. The only trick is just to make sure it's straight. And at this point, I then take the backing off my bauble, and I'm positioning it so my bauble looks like it's dangling that there, and these strings are straight. They're angled, I mean, sorry, but they're pulled taut, and that one sits just there. So that is the decoration for one panel. Now you can obviously decorate all your panels differently, but I like the baubles that much that I chose to just replicate it all the way around. So this panel now needs the navy with the stars and the green. So again, I'll repeat the whole thing, but I think I've shown you once. I'll keep this one actually. I'll not speed this one up. I'll just show you once again. So the glue dot goes on the back of the bauble top, like so, and the back of the large bauble top, like so. Then you get your 10cm little piece of twine. Pop one end in there on that one, and one end on there. I'm probably, and I do apologise for this, I feel as though I'm rushing this video a little bit. It's because I've actually already filmed this, and then when I came to edit it and upload it to YouTube, it told me the file was corrupt, so it made me very sad. So I'm really sorry if I've rushed it. It's kind of just deflated me a little bit that I'm having to repeat a filming session, but not to worry, these things happen. So again, I've got that little scroll and the uppy bit in it. It's not quite central on that one, but not to worry. So a glue dot just where the scroll goes up in the center. Then I'm going to grab my baubles and just hold them, and then get the center point, slide it down and dig that in with a piercing tool. I want to use my take your pick tool, but I've lost the pointy bit in the move when I moved into the cabin from the house. So I've got to do some searching this weekend, because I've also lost my soft pastels and I need them for next month's classes. So I'm going to have to dig them out from somewhere. So there's another bow. Snip that. And also dig that into that glue dot, just like that. Lovely. I'm just going to trim that a little bit more. And then glue the back of that and pop that in place. So again, about 2 fingers there. That's about the same as that. Lovely jubbly. You could measure it and be really precise, but I'm not that precise. I just like to eyeball things. So that one goes just there, and the backing of that dimensional pulls off, and this one goes just there. There we have. That's the second one. So what I'll do, I will continue, but I'll speed up a little bit so you can see exactly what goes with what. So here I am just sticking on this final panel and the final baubles and laying those down. And then this is the part where you get to choose sentiments and bits and pieces. So the measurements that I gave the ladies, let me give you the measurements of this one. For this piece, you have plenty left over from the quantities of cardstock. Is 4.7, so 4.7 by 11.2. So that's the measurement of this panel. Now, what I was thinking of doing, the For a Special Friend is from a family party, and I know that is retired, so I apologise for that. But you can go round each panel and put something on. If you have the stamp set from the Brightly Gleaming paper, I forget what it's called exactly, and I don't have mine to hand, you can obviously incorporate some stamping as well if you wish. One of the panels you could leave entirely blank, and that you would do your writing on. In fact, I'll just give you a sneak peek of a card I'm doing next Thursday. So this is the exact same concept, but this one is, you can see it's a baby version. So where we had the C5 envelope for the big one that we've done, the C6 envelope, the Stampin' Up size envelope, this fits in there. Okay, so this one you can see I put happy birthday, on the next one is friend, on the next one is enjoy the moment, and on the final one I actually put a larger panel because that's where I'll do my writing. If you're curious, these backing papers are from In Good Taste DSP, still current, and the big pots of flowers are from the Bloom Where You're Planted. The sentiment, happy birthday and enjoy the moment are from, I believe it's called, yes it is, it's called Enjoy the Moment. And the friend is from Daisy Lane stamp set. The panels that I've used, these are from the Tasteful Label dies. So this one and this one and this one, Tasteful Labels, and the final one, this one, is from the Hippo dies. Anyway, so I digress. So this is the one that we're on with. So that is just a really wow Christmas card. I'm sure anybody would be pleased to receive that in its lovely big envelope. And it shouldn't cost that much to post. I mean, I know it's a little bit chunky. You might need a large letter in the UK to get that through. But yeah, it's lovely. And I've really enjoyed making. And even though I've had to make it about 5 times now. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed. I hope it's been fairly clear. I will list the measurements on the blog post, just in case you want to revisit. And obviously, where I've done these panels with the baubles, this is when you can freestyle and do whatever kind of adornment you wish. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.